there, thanks for stopping by for Bible journaling. Today we're going to be working on day 269 in our Encourage a Moment to Breathe devotional, and we're going to be working in Romans 8:1. Our verse today says, "Therefore there is now no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus." So my thought today is I'm going to use this gavel. I went ahead and I looked it up on Google to get a picture of it, and then I traced it out on a piece of copy paper first so I kind of get an idea of what I wanted it to look like. I'm pretty brave about just drawing things in my Bible, but I'm not so brave as just going for it whole hog without trying it out first. So I went ahead and traced it, and then after I'd got drew it out after I got what I wanted it to look like, I went ahead and drew it into my Bible there. I did all that before I started so that you wouldn't have to sit through me fiddling with it. And then I went ahead and went over it with my Micron pen, and that was a number 0.5 in black. And now I'm just erasing all of the little pencil lines and stuff so we won't see those, because I'm going to go ahead now and add my clear gesso over the top of this. So I'm going to do some watercoloring, and I don't want my page to get all wrinkled up or to bleed through to the other side. So I'll just go ahead and add a couple of quick coats of clear gesso. And when I'm drying it, I kind of tug on the page a little bit so that it will stay flat as I'm get it dried up. So to watercolor my picture today, I'm going to go ahead and use the Prima Marketing Woodlands collection, and I'll put a link to that and all the stuff I use down in the description box in case you would like to head over and grab something up. So let's go ahead and read our story while I finished gessoing and paint my picture. I used to feel guilty all the time, mainly mother guilt, but I've had wife guilt, house cleaning guilt, homeschooling guilt, eating guilt, and a slew of other guilts, if you will. In fact, I would say that for most of my adult years, I've lived in a perpetual state of guilt. I'm not doing enough and I'll never get it together kind of guilt. It's a plague, really. A plague I've not only allowed but invited. I've let the guilt in to do its dirty work, to make me feel worthless, to keep me down, to keep me looking down instead of up. And there it is, the trick of that slimy, slithering devil, always tempting us, teasing us, encouraging us to look down to our weaknesses, down to our struggles. He wants us bound up, not free and wide open, head back, gazing up. Oh sure, there is a built-in conviction that is good and of God, and that shows us the way when we forget His goodness and we try our own way. But I'm talking about the guilt of always feeling like a mess, like someone who lives in fear that she will damage her children and will never get intimacy right, or who still has clothes piled up in the corners of her bedroom. And it all may be so, but that is humanity. It's our personality and quirks and bents and strengths and weaknesses wrapped up in a flesh that will struggle until that glorious day when the struggle will be gone. We're never going to get it right on this earth, but we have a God who is willing to live inside us, to guide us and comfort us, and He's perfect. When we keep our eyes on Him, we can let go of the guilt and start really living. We're not meant to wear those guilt shackles. We're meant to live free. Jesus gives freedom, the real kind. Be free. Our moment to breathe today says, conviction leads to repentance and forgiveness and freedom, but condemnation leads to guilt and shame and more guilt. That thing you feel guilty about, is it conviction or condemnation? Oh, that's a good story. I think that pretty much sums up most everybody feeling guilty about a bunch of stuff that really doesn't matter, like laundry piling up and feeding your kids McDonald's for dinner instead of making them roast beef and potatoes. Sometimes things happen. That's just the way it is. That's life. You have to learn to go with it as it comes along. You're just doing the best that you possibly can, and sometimes we get it wrong. That's part of being a human and being a person. We're not God. We're not perfect. So we definitely do not get it right. But that's okay, because He did, and we can turn to Him whenever we need Him. So I love today's story. That totally works for me, because I am definitely one of these girls who feels that I don't do the mom thing right, or I don't do the house cleaning part right, and I definitely don't do the you can go to bed and read a story every night thing, and I have a million other things that I feel guilty about. But it makes me feel better that God says I don't need to feel guilty about that because He's there, and we should be looking up at Him instead of being worried and weighed down with all of this guilt. So I love that. So I can't believe we've made it through 269 days in our book. I love that we're working our way through here. I had a suggestion to do a different book next year, and I also had a suggestion to continue with this book but just start on day 2 on January 1st. I haven't really decided yet what I want to do, but I'll let you know before it gets here. It's a long ways until we have to decide, and I'm still on the lookout for a new Bible. I had someone post me a link to a store I could go to, and I really like how cheap they were, because Bibles they're not free. So you have to definitely plan on these things, but these were pretty reasonable. I'd still like to get the new Illustrated Faith illustrating Bible because it looks so big and lots of room to put lots of stuff, but I'm gonna have to wait for a sale or consider that some more because that's just a little bit out of my budget for right now, but maybe someday. In the meantime, I'll keep a lookout and see what kind of thing I want to go with. So here I'm going ahead and I've added my paint onto my page, and that brush there is a silver black velvet number 6. If you girls do not have, or gentlemen, have a silver black velvet brush, run out and get one. Those things are just awesome. I love that thing. It holds plenty of water and it stays pointy at the end. So the colors I used in my palette are 85, 87, 95, and 91. And I just try to keep it easy by going from the lightest one at 85 all over the picture, and then I came back and I added 3/4 of the way with number 87, and then I came back again with 95 and added a half of the way, forgot there, and then for 91 I took up about half of the picture so that it would be darker in those areas. And then to add a little bit of shadow on there, I'm going to use number 93 to draw a little bit of shadow around underneath. And I put some water in my paint, but I decided that was just going to be way too light. So I went in and I grabbed some paint directly off the palette, and I'm just going to add that. So we're going to do a little bit of a shadow underneath of the handle and then underneath of the gavel. And then I'm going to make it streak out so it looks like the handle is casting a shadow onto the ground there. So I kept it pretty easy, nothing too complicated besides the drawing part, and even that wasn't too bad. And then what I did is I went and I printed out my title onto some clear sticker paper, and I used the RAR Serif number 72 for my font today. It was nothing too fancy. I wanted the gavel to be the scene part, and I wanted the title to be wham, there it is, not guilty. I wanted you to be able to read it without any problems. So that was my thought behind the easy font with lots of big letters. So when you put your sticker paper down, you want to make sure that your page is flat. And then I put it down slowly so that I can make sure that I don't get any wrinkles, because once you stick that stuff down, you are not going to get it up. So be careful putting it down, and then you won't have any problems. And I tried to keep that part up there in the margin so it's not covering up all the text. And then we'll cover up the whole bottom part. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish my page off with my journaling. And my journaling today is going to say, Lord, thank you for showing me the way to kick guilt to the curb. It has no place in my life. Remind me daily that you are king and I am not guilty. Then I always finish it up with the dates so that I don't forget what day I did that. And then I've decided here on the last time that I'm going to go ahead and put AMTB at the bottom of my pages along with the date I did it, so that I'll know what book I was working in and what day we were on, because when I look back, I'm going to forget. So I'm going to go back through the whole thing and I'm going to mark every page with that, so I'll remember at the end of the year what day I was working on. So I hope you had fun doing Bible journaling today. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below and I'll make sure to get back to you. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber yet, make sure and do that. And hit the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. I hope you are having a fabulous day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.